listen and be there.
Oh,
It's just a community thing. We enjoy our friends gathering here.
oh,
It's not something we are expecting, but uh, this is something we always enjoy
oh,
without
yeah.
any
We do it
pressure,
just for
without any
us. We do it just for
obligation.
us. Yeah.
This is our treat. This is our treat.
Yes. Yes. Oh, it's a wonderful business. It's a wonderful business. S- Sending Norma the link. Go ahead, Beena. Go ahead. Where were we lost? What are we doing? What are we all about?
Okay.
What's going on?
So yesterday we missed, and we both were missing
Oh,
this.
yeah.
It
And
was
I'm
something
glad
we
we missed
enjoy doing that.
yesterday.
But
It
yes,
was
sometimes,
very, yeah. Just to
oh,
explain real quick. Keep going. Oh, I'm just going to interrupt you real quick, Beena, to say oh, Ramsey's here. Hello, Ramsey. Ramsey.
uh-huh.
Hello, hello, hello. I was saying yesterday I had things
Oh, hello,
standing outside.
Ramsey.
Yeah. Oh, Ramsey says, hello, Syl, Beena, Norma,
Yes.
everyone. I had things standing outside where they could get rained on, and I had to move them, and they were just getting ready to be moved, and they were saying heavy rain coming, and so that's why, right? I didn't want it to get rained on because boxes. I don't want the boxes to get wet. Just to explain why we didn't do. All right,
Yes.
you were saying Norma. Sorry, Beena, before I interrupted you. Please keep going.
Yes.
What are we
Okay.
doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I was just sharing that yesterday we missed the live, and it was something like it is becoming kind of part of our life. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, when we are not doing it, of course, it was all because of some appropriate reasons and
Right.
appropriateness.
Right. Right.
It was force of circumstance also involved there.
Exactly.
And we tried our best. And it was not something negative about this, but it was something,
Yeah.
yes, the day was not feeling like at fullest. It was not
Oh.
incomplete, but it was not at the fullest. That is something I
Yeah.
was I was
We
really paying attention
because
to.
you're saying
That
it wasn't the
it
day
was,
wasn't at its fullest because we didn't do this, right? It's
yes, we
been
didn't
clear.
do the
Okay.
live. It was
Yeah.
not incomplete. It was not the feeling of incompleteness, but it was not the feeling of fullness. That is something
Yeah.
different and interesting about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't need things in our life. We just want to do that and we really thoroughly enjoy them. That is
Yeah.
something like, okay, yes, because of this, we don't feel incomplete. We don't have any negative consequence of this,
Yeah.
but it was not the fullness we were enjoying there.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was the feeling yesterday I had. And this is again the perks of course, one of the countless perks of living via attunement. At least I
Yes.
am just trying
Yes.
to learn this, how to do this, and
Yes.
uh, and I feel it is coming in my life. And
Yes.
once we learn how to live with attunement or via attunement,
Yes.
it brings so much peace. It
Yes.
brings so much peace into our lives that we say that,
Yes.
okay, we did our best, and now we are just going to follow the universe, and universe is
Mm.
going to,
Mm.
what is appropriate, what is right now and possible. Do your best and be happy. This is something, it is just a glimpse of it, just a tiny bit of rays coming in my life,
Yeah.
and I'm willing to pursue it as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. And also on that
I'm not
attunement.
sure still that I'm breaking you or cutting you off.
No, neither. I just saying, just jumping in
Okay,
here.
okay.
I thought you paused there, so I stepped in. Beena, you mentioned attunement. I just want to elaborate a
It's a
little bit.
delay. Yes.
Yeah, it's a big delay. Yeah, yeah. I,
Yes.
s- I just want to elaborate a bit on that attunement. In terms of understanding the language of the world,
Yes.
right? Now look how that worked. Because all right,
Yes.
right. So just to explain the situation, I was looking for an item, and I have a whole bunch of boxes, and the item was, I would imagine, or I thought, was at the bottom. So I had to move the boxes on top to the side to get to the ones at the bottom, right? And when I moved them to the side, they were standing in a space where they could get rained on, right? And that's why it was there. Otherwise, they were out of the rain.
Mhm.
Right? But here's the thing that happened. right? Remember, Beena, we were sitting here talking, and I said, Beena, I want to do this, but all right, it can work from there. And long story, we got a few drops of rain, and I heard it, right? Just a few, like tit, 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 that's it. Yeah, maybe 10
Yes,
drops, right?
yes,
And I said, it's
yes,
the rain is coming. And I went up
yes,
immediately, and I moved the boxes back out of the rain. Yeah. Now, the heavy rain didn't come then,
yes,
right? And earlier that day, right, I said to Beena, well,
yes,
it doesn't look like rain. The forecast doesn't say rain. It's clear skies. But of course, it's that thunderstorm season, so that can change very quickly. But here's the thing, normally when you get those first few drops, a few minutes later, psh, it comes, right? The typical thunderstorm. You get those few drops, and then, even a few seconds later, it comes. But this took hours later, it came. So I had plenty space to move. I moved everything, nothing got wet. Those few drops, it didn't matter. It was no problem. But I'm using it as an abstract analogy for saying how attunement works, right? It's very much like this. The universe will give
mm,
you that little bit of a hint and a clue there, right? Just like those, in an abstract sense, it will give you that hint, that clue, that warning, and you need to act on it, of course, right? The universe is like, well, this is really clear. I mean, think of it this way. For me in that situation, how do I not act on those drops and be impeccable?
yes,
You see, if you think of it in reverse, right? If I didn't act, it's only a few drops. What? It's not likely to rain more. I mean, it's thunderstorm season, right? I mean, I'm going to be
yes,
going against the logic, the obvious, the duh. It's like, come on, how can you not act on it? It may rain or it may not. Can I afford to take the chance that it's not going to rain? No, I can't. Because if it does, I'm going to have 20 items or more that are going to get ruined. See, I can't afford
yes,
to take that chance. Yes, it might not rain, but I cannot take that chance. Therefore, I have to act immediately with alacrity, which is what I did. I zoomed out the door and I moved the things really fast. And it was a couple of minutes that I moved. It was very quick, right? Remember, Beena? Yeah. But it doesn't matter how long it took. I mean, because it could have been
yes,
that it rained
yes,
immediately. Sometimes with a thunderstorm, you get those few drops. And like I say, it's a few seconds later it starts raining. Yeah, this happened to be a few hours. But I'm making the point that when you get such a clue, such a warning, such an alert, that necessitates action. Now, in this case, you could say, well, it didn't necessitate the action. You could have left it. You could have taken that chance, but not from the universe's point of view. Yeah, the universe expects you to be impeccable.
yeah,
If I take a chance, I'm not being impeccable. Correct?
yes,
Right. So, yes, technically I can not act, but only if I'm not impeccable. So the universe will give you that alert, that hint, that warning, and really there's no choice. Simple as that. There's no choice, right? And this is a beautiful, marvelous thing. To be able to act without choice is a great, great joy. Now you'd say, yeah, but we don't like to be told what to do. We don't want to be forced to do things. Yes, but by who? The difference is, this is the universe telling me this is something to do that there's no question to do. In other words, it's a right thing to do. Yes, it's appropriate. It needs doing. How can you not enjoy doing what is right and appropriate and good to do? No way you can't enjoy doing that, right? All right, this is a very mundane example. It's the most mundane example of attunement, but it serves for the example. It doesn't matter whether it's a mundane thing like moving my boxes out of potential rain damage, or if it's something really profound like a life-changing new habit, a new awareness, new understanding. It makes no difference. The key is when you get such a message from the universe, act. If you don't act, you're not likely to get more of these because the universe say, they don't care. They don't mind being unimpeccable. I'm not going to bother with them. Yeah? Or your brain doesn't, you may get them, but because you never, it's like, whatever, your brain doesn't treat it as important, so it doesn't even notice it. Yeah. I mean, I could easily have missed those few drops because it wasn't particularly loud, right? I mean, I could have been busy and involved, but because I'm alerted to this and I'm paying attention to my environment as a general habit, I noticed it. You see, we have to train our brains to notice this, right? Notice things that are important, and you can. It's just through emphasis, right, Beena?
Yes, I'm just trying to
All right, you
articulate what I'm feeling right now.
repeat
That
it. Repeat
yeah,
it all back. Repeat it all back. Let's practice repeat backs.
okay. I'm trying to articulate what what I'm thinking, because the question was like, who was forcing me? And you were saying that,
Oh,
okay, yes, I saw a few things I could ignore it,
oh,
and then of course no one can force you. People
right.
who try to be deliberate, who are on the path of awareness and impeccability, they cannot be forced by anyone other than their own
Exactly.
sensibility.
Exactly. Not even the universe can force them. Not even the
Yes.
universe can force them. Right? I chose to be influenced by the universe there. I chose it. Right? I was very acutely aware
Yes.
that I had a choice. Very acutely aware. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Now, and that's a huge deal. That's a
Isn't it really a,
huge deal.
you're taking your power in your hands?
Now, exactly. It is. It is, Beena. It is. It is. Absolutely, it is. Yes, exactly. It's choice. But the universe is saying, I give you a choice, but some choices aren't choices.
Yes.
Yeah? And that's
Yes,
the beauty of it.
sensibility actually decides.
Exactly. Exactly. Sobriety, never mind sensibility, sobriety. Yes, because it's bigger picture issue. Yeah. Now, the reason that it's sobriety, not sensibility, yes, to respond purely because I'm not wanting to my things to get wet, that's sensibility. Sobriety, when I make it abstract, because I'm now not responding, oh, it's going to rain. No, because I'm saying, oh, I got the message from the universe. Now it shifts it into bigger picture. See? And it's not, I'm making a sort of a fine distinction that's not technically necessary, but it's useful though to see this in the bigger picture. Because when I think of it as, it's just like, oh, I see the rain coming and it's mundane. When I see there's a message from the universe, it's special. It's more. It's go. There's wonder and marvel to it. Yeah, but it's also the way it came. Yeah. And then the universe helped me out. It gave me a few hours to move it. I promise you this much, right? If I hadn't moved it,
Yes.
if I hadn't, you say, I'll do it later. Likely the rain would have come then. I've seen this many times. That just for the universe to say, that'll teach you. Don't assume. The universe is funny like that. The universe is funny like that. I'm just saying, the universe doesn't mess about when it comes to your education. Your education as to impeccability. It doesn't mess about. Doesn't. Huh? No. No. Universe is like really cool when it comes to the stuff. It is impeccable when it comes to your impeccability. It demands impeccability, but so do you. So the universe is responding to your intent, is it not? Yeah. Yeah, we want to be impeccable, but sometimes we might be a bit lazy. I don't feel like moving those boxes now. Oh man, nah, mood has nothing to do with it, right? Mood has nothing to do with it. Yes, Beena? Where'd Beena go? Are you still here, Beena? Did you drop off? You muted. You muted. You muted, Beena. Anyway, I'm saying this is very important to be aware of, to understand. That mood has nothing to do with impeccability, nothing whatsoever, right? Ah, I made the title a bit wrong here. I'm just editing the title. Yeah, Beena did drop off. Yeah, okay. I thought that might be the case. Yeah. Right, just to elaborate on impeccability in the universe. The universe, at least now, I'm going to make this as a statement, and you could say, how do you know this for a fact? I know it from testing it over and over and over and over again. So to me, it is a fact that the intent of the universe is to enhance and develop awareness. To me, it's a fact. It may not be to you or to anybody else, but to me it is. Why? Because I look at my life. I look at things that happen in my life through this particular lens, right? And it starts off as a hypothesis. And you say, well, all right, let's take this as a maybe. Let me see if this is true. Let's test it, right? Just start looking at everything in your life with this. Is it, why? How does it happen? I don't know why. Oh, I know why. I'm going to say why. It happens because it's there to help you enhance and develop your awareness. Oh, wow. That's what happens. Everything is there for the purpose of enhancement and development of awareness. Now, as our awareness gets enhanced and developed, right, we start to be more impeccable. Why? Because this is the point of awareness. The point of awareness is so that you can be more appropriate in more circumstances. Don't we want to be more appropriate? Now, not proper, appropriate, which means look at that reaction to those raindrops. Was appropriate. Yeah. To leave it would not have been appropriate. To say, maybe it's not going to rain today. You know, sometimes you get those few little drops and nothing comes. Sometimes. Yeah. But again, it's appropriate in the context of impeccability. Yeah. Now, impeccability, best use of energy. The better we can use our energy, the more energy we have for awareness. Yeah. If my energy is being sucked up by worry and anxiety and fuss and bother or anger, what happens when you get angry? Doesn't it take a lot of energy? And also, anger is massively distorting to your awareness and your attention. Anger is not enhancing your awareness one iota. It's doing the reverse. Yeah? Now, when we combine impeccability with the enhancement and development of awareness, we see, it takes energy to enhance and develop our awareness. Yeah. Therefore, the universe is saying, be impeccable. Make good use of your energy. Make the best use of your energy. Don't go wasting it. Don't go squandering it. Don't be inappropriate with your energy. Yeah. If we are just focused on, like things that are inappropriate to focus on, it sucks our energy. Yeah? So this all works together. So the universe is going to assist you to be impeccable. It's going to pressure you to be impeccable, like when those raindrops came. There was only one choice. Do it right away, immediately, as soon as possible, ASAP. I mean, I heard ... I was up out the door. There's no other choice. There's no other choice, right? And also, this is from practice. I've learned to recognize something that is momentous in the moment and to act on it in the moment. Now, this is not that momentous. Yes, the boxes will get ruined and, some product will get damaged and, will cost me some money, but it's not life-changing momentous. It may be, but, typically not. But there are such clues and instances that the universe will give you, and it will be as simple as that ... The universe doesn't make a distinction between life-changing momentous and saving boxes from getting damaged in the rain momentous. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Both are important. Both require impeccability. There's no big or small when it comes to impeccability. Right? You do it or you don't. That's it. It's your choice. And we need to be able to develop This is what I'm saying. From the way the universe works, I'm talking about attunement in the language of the world. Sometimes we get a life-changing decision that is from the same thing, just like that, couple of little drops. And we have to get over this idea that there's big and small. You can change your life just like that. In those few seconds that you hear that thing, all the calculations go in your head. You see it, it's like, duh, change. Yeah, like, duh, I have to go outside and move the boxes. That's it. It's just a duh. When it comes to changing your life or doing something trivial like moving the boxes, makes no difference. If it's duh, you do it. Just because it's changing your life and it changed your whole, you have to change your job, move to another city, another country, whatever. It doesn't matter how big a deal it is. Let's say it's the biggest thing that you can possibly think of, right? If it's duh, you do it. There's no argument when it's duh. None. What's the point of it? You know already it's duh, right? Okay, let's assume from those couple of little drops that the conclusion in the context and the bigger thing, right? It was like, duh, that I have to change my business, change my life, change the people that I know, everything. You must be able to change right there, because if it's duh, what's the point of saying, yeah, but it's a big hassle, it's a big effort. What does the universe care? It's the right thing to do. It's appropriate. It's everything is good about it. It's just a duh. It's like me doing the thing with the rain. Right? I mean, I can choose to leave it out there and have the product rain, but this is not a choice I want. Yeah. Effort, effort, effort is not a determiner for good choices. If a choice is right, the amount of effort involved has got nothing to do with it. Yes. Especially when it comes to your entire life change. You must say, yeah, but you know what? To change my job, to move to a different country, to leave my partner, I'm just assuming the worst possible, greatest possible change. Man, that's a lot of effort. How much effort is that compared to the effort of living unhappily for the rest of your life? Never mind unhappily, living inappropriately for the rest of your life. How much effort does that take? How much effort is it to not connect to what you really want to connect to, your true heart's desire, your aspirations? Yeah. All right. You're going nowhere where you are now. Yeah. The universe is saying to you, hey, do this and you're going to go somewhere. Man, how is that a choice? You see, if we get caught up in the bubble of saying, it's too much effort, we start to evaluate the momentous in the context of effort. That effort may be a lot relative to now over, a month, a day, a year, but compared to the rest of your life, compared to eternity, it's nothing. It's nothing, absolutely nothing whatsoever, right? So when it comes to impeccability, you have to be very careful of laziness. When it comes to impeccability and appropriateness, especially long-term, universal term, lifetime term appropriateness, you absolutely cannot make these distinctions based on effort. Yeah, there's no effort that's too much to make when it comes to your soul, your life. Yeah, your aspirations. None, none, none. It's not a question. It's not a question that's open for debate when it comes to effort. If you're going to do that, then searching for more, having aspirations of getting into a deeper state of awareness and understanding, transcendence, whatever you want to call it, enlightenment, not going to happen. Not going to happen if you're looking at this in the context of it's too much effort. Right? Then give it up now already. Give it up now already. Don't waste your time and effort. If you're serious about true, real life change, soul change, moreness, right? If you truly are serious about moreness, that there's no such thing as enough effort to get to this transcendental moreness, transcending moreness, life-changing moreness. No, there's no effort that's too much, right? I'm making a very important point here about effort. So when it comes to attunement, your decisions cannot be made under the criteria of effort or mood. I don't feel like it. And typically, you don't feel like it because you don't have enough energy. See why impeccability is so important? because we want to be at that state of high energy. The only time I'm going to say, I don't want to do it because I'm low energy. But if I'm impeccable, my energy is always high. So I always have reserves of energy. So when something comes, I can act. I can act then, right then, with alacrity. No task is too big when we have plenty energy. Yes? When we have abundant energy, there's no such thing as a task that's too big. We're willing to undertake moving mountains when we have enough energy. We think nothing of it. I've done this. I've done momentous decisions and that, right? Because I had the energy. It's a very powerful thing to have energy. So I have to be absolutely scrupulous with our energy. Yes. And to quote Don Juan, he said, we must be misers with our energy. He was an absolute paragon of energy management. Yeah. So taking care of things like sleep, for instance, this is very important, right? Energy management, very important. Got to be diligent with these things. I know it's hard sometimes. I struggle. It's a daily challenge for me, sleeping. Daily challenge, but disciplined. I almost have to force myself to sleep. Life is so exciting and so marvelous. There's so much moreness. I don't want to sleep. I'm having so much fun. And I have high energy, so I can go a long time without it. I have to be disciplined. You have to look at now versus later, right? I know, yes, I can get fulfillment now, but I'm going to pay for it later. No good. No good. No good whatsoever. Right. Energy management, impeccability, very crucial. Because, of course, we want to manage our moods. The point of it all is I want to feel good, no? Now, just think about it. When you have high energy, you feel good, yes? Very simple. Very simple. So if you want to have good moods, have good energy management. Is Norma here yet? There's Norma. What you doing, Norma? I spoke to you earlier. What happened to you? Oh, I've been outside, so maybe I missed some messages from Norma. I thought she's coming. I thought she's coming. Oh. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Very powerful, very, very powerful. I'm just thinking about it, letting it sink in. You know, I'm sort of listening to myself actually as well. That happens very often. When we get motivated, it's part of attunement, right? Like this topic came up now, and Beena touched on it and mentioned it, and it just the earnestness of Beena's comment, right? She didn't even ask a question. It touched me inside. And this stuff about attunement, it just comes out now. I'm listening to it just like I'm listening to somebody else also. It's quite amazing how this works. Things come. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful topic, and it's a powerful mechanism to respond to earnestness. It's almost like attunement in sort of the inverse, in a sense. It's a fantastic thing. Right? I'm attuned to earnestness. And earnestness is an incredible power. It's an incredible power. Yeah. Oh, let me tag Nina. Yeah, we are, Nina. We are. Just want to tag somebody real quickly. In this, I'm saying that the power of earnestness, when I respond to, is Beena telling a tale today? I hope so, Joseph. I hope so. She dropped, her internet dropped. It happens occasionally over there. They actually, in where she is, because they're having some political trouble with their previous prime minister, who's complete B&M scoundrel, criminal, you know, just terrible character. is in legal trouble, and so therefore there's potential riots. And in order to manage this, and they had some like festival stuff or a holiday celebration, and people were in the streets of doing a procession, that they do every year. And the hooligans were threatening to disrupt this. So in order to manage this, they limit internet. They cut off the internet sometimes, so that people aren't busy texting and the protesters and causing trouble. So it's very interesting crowd management technique. But anyway, so I hope so. But we may get Nina Beena, who's not Beena, different Beena, right? Nina Beena. She was asking if we're live in one of the chat that I have going. So I hope so. Come, Nina. I've been wanting you to come. I'm keen for you to come. So I hope we get a tale of power from Beena, Joseph. That will be most marvelous. Right. And this is how we come to have tales of power, by the way. Tales of power are tales of energy. They're not tales of dominance or tales of bullying or tales of superiority. No, they're tales of energy. And essentially a tale of power, another way to say a tale of power, is a magical story. Yes. And we can even have different ways of looking at that. Is a memorable event, right? A significant experience. Those are typically tales of power. If it sticks with you, if it sticks with you, if it sticks with you. Now, let me elaborate a little bit on this. I've written much on memorable events and significant experiences. In other words, tales of power, or AKA. Yeah, because they're not all. Yeah, I mean, almost always they're tales of power. When you think of a memorable event or significant experience, think of something that happened in your life that stays with you, that comes up in your mind regularly. And when you chat with people, you've got your story to tell, you tell the story. For instance, I give you an example. This happened for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. Yeah, no more. I was like 9 at the time. So, all right, 5 decades of telling the story, or at least thinking about it. When I was younger, I didn't tell it as much, but come a teenager, it would come up. People say, all right, let's say there was a big snowstorm, that you didn't expect. It was unusual, whatever. And people got stories about snowstorm. Well, when I was 9, I lived in very much a similar place to Arizona, and a semi-desert area. Yeah, they call them desert there. They call it semi-desert, by the way. They make the distinction because Arizona is technically semi-desert, not desert. Anyway, and in some places at high elevations, yes, it snows regularly. But like here where I live, snowfall is relatively unusual. You maybe get it once. Now, a little lower down, let's say like in Phoenix, snow there is very unusual. You might get it once every 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Right? In that place where I lived, same thing, right? It was very unusual to get snow. I'd never seen it, in my 9 years. Anyway, I was staying at a friend's farm over the weekend. I was in the hostel, and anyway, long story. So I'm staying on this farm, and they right out in very remote farm, very large farm as well. And we wake up in the morning, and it's quiet. There's not a breath of wind. And we go outside, and you open that door. I had never seen snow before, right? And I open that door and it's just white everywhere, right? Fresh white that had just fallen. Not a footprint, not moved by the wind, just fresh, pure snow, everywhere. So we tromp around in the snow. But then the boy I was staying with, right? I knew he was just a couple of years younger than me. But anyway, so the two of us and his father, he says, come with us. I'm going to go and check the rain meter. Because it's something that they pay very careful attention to in that type of a climate. It's a very important metric for them to know. And off we go, and we drive, and we drive. It's a long drive to the particular rain meter. It's on the very far end of the property. I guess there were others too, but I only remember this one. Exactly, tales of impeccability, how you plugged energy leaks. But I'm saying this is a memorable event, right? So I would tell people the story. This is what I'm saying now. I'm telling them the same story. And off we go, and we go check this rain meter. And we drive, and we drive, and we finally get to this rain meter, and we get out of the car. Right? The father goes to check the rain meter. I don't know what happened to the boy. I don't even remember. He may have stayed in the car for all I know. But when I get out, what's the pickup truck? The pickup truck and the father and the rain meter, they disappear. My memory then is only of seeing snow 360 degrees around me and no horizon, no mountains, right? Just the horizon, flat, in other words. Right? And there's a very unusual circumstance to have this complete flatness in any place, whether there's snow on it or not. But it was just flat snow to the horizon, all the way around us, right? And I would tell the story, right? Just of like, wow, it's so unusual to see snow all the way around you, completely flat. Right? This is very rare on the earth to be in a place like that, by the way. You might think it's common, but it's not. It's actually very uncommon where the earth is flat with no horizon. Now, that's my memory. Whether it's so or not doesn't matter. Now, I wrote out these stories, a couple of years back. I wrote all my stories. I have many of these tales like that always stuck me. But then I had understood by that time that when it comes to memorable events and significant experiences, it's not to write down what you've been saying all these years. And I told that story dozens of times, like I told it now. But when I wrote it, I had come to understand that the reason the story keeps on coming up is because there's more to it. Yes, there's more to it. Now, it's a kind of an inverse energy leak in the sense that there was a deeper learning that had to come from that story that I didn't connect to, I didn't remember. I thought I had remembered everything, but when I wrote it, now I'd already practiced this technique of when you write the stories, right, get immersed inside them and relive it. Don't remember your memory, because our memories, we tend to abbreviate and we tend to filter, right? And we just remember some, we don't remember all. Now, when you go into a memorable event or significant experience, don't remember your memory. In other words, I didn't remember what I was telling the story all that time. I went back inside the event and I relived it. And then I was like, wait, there was more. Now we come to the tale of power. See, a memorable event's not necessarily a tale of power, but inevitably it is if we make that effort to connect to them more. As I wrote this and I immersed into reliving the event, I said, oh, there was something else that happened. Not only did I see that 360 expanse around me, but in that moment right then, 9 years old, I felt and I said, wow, we're out here in the middle of nowhere, and I don't feel vulnerable or exposed or insecure. Like wow, if you got stuck here, you'd just be lost. Like, if the truck didn't start, it'd be like way out in the middle of nowhere, right? I never felt this insecurity, this vulnerability, this sort of like I'm alone or lonely. That was the other part. I didn't feel alone or lonely. Now, keep in mind, right, in my memory, right, because I was so focused, what that imprinted on my mind was the environment and experience. The truck and the father and the boy, they disappeared from my memory. I can't even picture them now in there anymore. Very vaguely, I suppose I could make an effort. But I was focused on the environment. It was me and the world. Right? I called it the land then, capital L. In just my language then, it was called the land, right? It was also people around called it that sometimes, right? But it was very spiritual thing for me then. It was like a very profound, the land. It had a moreness to it, and I could feel that energy of the land. Now, in that moment out there, when I was, and I realized, I'm not alone. I'm not feeling vulnerable. I'm not feeling lonely. I'm not feeling insecure. I'm not feeling threatened in any way. Why? Because I felt the presence of the world, of earth, capital E, earth. Yeah, whatever you want to call it, the world, earth, Gaia, spirit, doesn't matter, right? I felt that presence, and I knew then that I can never be alone in the world anywhere. The land, earth, the world will always be there, no matter where you are. There's no such thing as a remote place on earth. Maybe remote from other people, but how can you be remote from earth when you're on earth? You cannot be. It's impossible. Yes. Now, at that time, I was aware of it in that moment, but the next day, that memory was gone. It only resurfaced when I relived that event. And then I really saw, now I see why this has come up. Yeah, it kept popping back up for me to talk about. And once I wrote it out, what happens, which is really interesting, and I have this understanding and this awareness, the actual visual memory faded. Right? I can't recall that visual memory anymore the way I could then. Right? And this has happened with all the other stories that I've written. And I have tons of them. I've got a huge, great big file full of these stories. I made an effort to go through my life and write all this down. But then the memory fades. It's a fantastic thing because now I've gotten the actual essence out of it. Right? The story is, I don't need to go and tell the story anymore. I'm telling it now because I'm making a point about memorable events, significant experiences, tales of power. Now that memorable event, because of this connection to earth, becomes a tale of power. Yeah, there was power involved. I was touched by power on that, in that white expanse of nothingness. Yeah, I was touched by power. A tale of power isn't always about me exercising my power. No, it's sometimes, mostly tales of power is about power touching you in some way. That's how power touched me that day. And it was a very profound thing. I've never ever had a problem being out in the middle of nowhere or being alone or being lonely. It's never been an issue for me ever in my life. You know, I've lived most of my life in my own bubble awareness. Yeah, I had lots of friends, it's very popular, but it doesn't matter. Those things don't have anything to do with being alone or lonely. Many people are popular and they're still lonely. You know, like people say, I live in the city and I'm lonely, right? Very big deal, very big deal. Beena, Joseph has joined us again. I'm so thrilled that you're here, Joseph, by the way. Oh, man, makes me very happy.
Yes.
Tales of impeccability. Yes, tales that story about the rain. That's a story of tale of impeccability. Exactly. The few drops. The few drops. It's right. Rather than a
Yes.
tale of power, it's a tale of impeccability. Yeah. Yeah. It's a story of the
I
language
want to
of the
ask you
world. Oh,
something
please,
about.
please, Beena. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay. So this story when you were sharing, and you shared it before, because okay,
Mm,
at least
mm,
I can say I'm aware of this story before also
yes.
when you
Yeah.
shared that first time.
Yeah.
I was not uh, understanding what you were saying and what you were communicating at that time. But the second time you said that, and I was like, yes, okay. And I never experienced this thing. So it was it was out of my awareness, that experience, how this experience could be.
Yeah.
Or I can say now that I never paid attention to these type of things. But I
Interesting.
experienced that when I was doing um, a program. It was a course I was doing. It was related to art,
Oh,
and
okay. What
before that,
exactly did you experience?
okay, before that, I actually experienced that void, that
Ah,
nothingness around you, and you feel
ah,
okay.
ah,
Traditionally, conventionally, you have to feel vulnerable uh, because of the grandeur of the nature, the universe around you. It
yeah,
makes you, by comparison, we feel smaller.
yeah,
And that is the
yeah,
comparative mindset we have. We
yeah,
always feel like, oh yes, because of, look at these huge mountains. I'm nothing, I'm so small, so tiny in front of them.
yeah,
It is good for your ego, but it is counterproductive for your own beingness. It should not be, it must not be in comparison. It has to be innate, stand alone, not in
yeah.
comparative. We need to understand and we need to acknowledge that we, or gauge ourselves, that who we are, how we are. Anyway, when I was working at Arts Council, I saw that many seasoned actors also sometimes uh, they get a bit awkward, not uncomfortable, but a slight awkward when the hall is full, when the audience or the viewers are so
Yeah,
enthusiastic and hyper responding and all
yeah,
these things, they get a bit awkward. So it's before going on, and especially when the show was about the university fellows, that university students were there, that the show was dedicated for them only, and all the actors were a bit conscious, like, okay, yes, how they are going to react. And because, but the reason was obvious, that they are going to, of course, hoot them, they are going to make pass comments, they are not going to just sit and observe them and appreciate them, they are going to bully them. That was the thing from university students. And it was, everybody was aware of it, that, okay, yes, this is how it is going to be. They will give us tough time. But the most horrible show was for bureaucrats, because the actors were saying that this is going to be the toughest one, because we are not going to do the show for audience. It is going to be just for us, because no one is even going to give us a slightest wave of hand or just a smile, nothing. It would be, they will just sit like they are like stones, like chairs.
Interesting. I'm
Yes.
guessing. All right. Keep going. Never mind. I'll save my guess to myself.
Okay.
Oh.
And they were saying that this is going to be very tough one for new actors, especially because it will be like you, all the spotlights are on and you are just doing these things and no response at all. It's a void there. What I'm saying that, okay, I was not understanding. And then they were sharing some techniques how to deal with this. And now when you share your story here, for me, the question is that you feel the universe, the earth, or the nature around you,
the world,
or you connect, yes, or you connect your consciousness with the consciousness around you at that moment.
Exactly. Keep going.
That is my question. What was actually happening? You were feeling the earth, or yes, okay, yes, the earth is there always around,
Presence.
and universe is around me. You were feeling the presence, or you were connecting your consciousness with the universe consciousness at that time.
No,
for me, that, yes.
Good. Go ahead. For you.
No, yeah, because for me, when we fill that void with the consciousness, then we feel super cozy, comforted in the void even.
Yes.
The technique they were sharing.
Yes, I will make a distinction to say that I didn't connect my consciousness to the consciousness of the world, right? Because that was the world, not the universe. It was very much the world, the earth that I'm feeling. And for me, they are different. The world and the universe, they're two separate things. They're different entities, if you want to talk that way. Yes, they're connected because everything is connected.
Yes.
But I think they are different, right? Now, in that moment, I was feeling the presence of earth, of the world, of the land, not connecting my consciousness to it. To me, there's a distinction, right? In other words, let's say I'm working at the computer and, you walk into the room, like, in the neighboring room, I can feel your presence, but I'm not talking to you. I'm not connecting to you. I just know you there, right? And that's the distinction. Now, I'm assuming in your story, those were saying when the students, when they essentially heckle the people that come and give them a talk, right? And they're saying the way to deal with it is to connect to them in their consciousness, right? All right, sorry. So just to clarify your story, but I wasn't quite clear what they were saying. It's a good technique, right? To connect to the people rather than to what they say and do.
In both cases, okay. Right. In both cases, sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
Sorry to interrupt you, but in both cases, there were two examples. The most awkward one, the most difficult one is to, for us, for people outside this acting business, for us, it was like, okay, yes, university students, they are going to be the most difficult audience. But they said, no, actually not. Bureaucrats will be the most difficult audience ever. And they are horrible because they don't connect with you. And then you have to connect your consciousness with the void, with the world around you. Otherwise, you cannot act. You cannot perform your best.
Absolutely fascinating. All right, now your story. Sorry, I have to go over your story because it wasn't all that clear. So this was a story about actors saying when they go and give a performance, right? Not a talk, a performance. When they did it in front of students and they got booed and whatever from the students, you would think this is the most difficult audience. But no, The
Yes.
bureaucrats, when they gave a performance for a audience of bureaucrats, this was the most difficult because
Yes.
the bureaucrats just sat there stony faced and they didn't give any reaction, no emotional reaction.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
why is the one more difficult than the other? Because of the students, you know what you're doing wrong and you can improve. You're getting feedback that actually gives you a
Yes.
direction to change. When you don't
Yes.
know, you don't know
Yes.
whether they may be hating it, they may be loving it. You have no idea. So you can't change. You're forced to
Exactly.
do the same. Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
In other words, from an attunement point of view, when you don't get any feedback from the universe, you don't know what to do. It's horrible.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
Okay. Very interesting story.
Also,
So,
they
yeah. No, right.
yes, I know that. Okay, I was struggling to make it clear, but
Mm,
it was also because all the audience, like bureaucrats, are coming and they are invited. They come here and they just sit, almost slouch in their seats,
mm,
and like halfly open eyes, they just stare at you, like they are just here. And
yeah.
the actors were saying that it feels like they have that piercing gaze, that something like, okay, it's just getting inside you, and no response at all. It's like they're just
Mm,
sitting mountains there. That's it. And that is the feeling mostly people have, that when they actually go to mountains and hills, and
yeah.
they say that, okay, oh, we feel so less, so like so little, so tiny, which is of course not bad. It is just like what it
Yeah.
is, what it is. It is what it
Right.
is. But this comparative mindset is very different. But what my story, the Kirks, was that in those cases the senior actors were saying that instead of just connecting with the audience, connect with the void,
Yeah.
that
Right.
emptiness.
Right. Now, that's what I thought the point of your story was. Now we're getting there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I would say, instead of connecting to the void, whatever stage you are on, like, and if you're in a situation with that bureaucrats and you're getting nothing, you're never alone, you're never without lost. At that point, connect to the world or to the universe. Yeah. First of all, it will
Hmm.
give you that comfort and security where you're not feeling vulnerable, you're not feeling lonely. Second of all, by actually making that point of connection, likely you aren't getting the way to go from the audience, but through attunement, you are going to get it, which means something anomalous is likely going to happen. And to say what, to give an example of an anomaly is very impossible because no two anomalies are ever alike. No two anomalies are almost even similar. They anomalous. Each one is unique. And so something unusual, something
Mhm.
different, something unexpected, something impossible happens that gives you a clue of how to go. It may be tiny, doesn't matter, right?
Hmm.
But it will give you that clue. So this is the key this is the power. Now, your story is connected to attunement. That's our theme here, right? You got your earnestness was on attunement. Now look how your attunement to the topic of attunement has brought the story
Yes.
forth, brought my story, brought your story, because now we are investigating the mechanisms of attunement. Yes, and this is the power, the
Ah,
magic, the awesome of attunement. Attunement gives us an indication of how to proceed, how to go, how to act when there's no way of knowing. Yes,
yes.
this is a key thing. Right? Many times you get clues, you know what to do, not a problem. But when you don't, that's it. Yes. Now, from a spirit warrior perspective, from a way of impeccability perspective, we try not to act unless we get some indication from
Yes.
attunement. Unless I have to, and then, well, that's for some circumstance, it's kind of like attunement. Yes. But when I really am at the crossroads, at the point, even there's no pressure, right?
Yes.
I try to find an attunement reason for why to act.
Yes.
Why? Because I do not trust my own judgment. Now, I regard myself as a very sober and sensible person, but my judgment is based on the information I have available. Because I have limited information, my decisions are by default likely to be limited. They might end up being a good decision, but the probability, the likelihood that they're not is high Yeah. Why? Because I don't have access to universal attunement. Therefore, when it comes to making decisions, like capital D decisions, I pay attention to attunement and I want to get some clue from attunement as to how to proceed. When I get it, now I can put all my energy into it. I have no doubts that this is the right path. None, not one single doubt. Now, whether it was acting immediately, like in the case of the boxes, or acting in the greater sense immediately, like changing my life, it doesn't matter. When attunement gives me a way to act, it doesn't matter whether it's a life-changing decision or not. That's it. That's where the way to go. That's the way to go. There's no big or small, like Ursula in the story. Yes?
Yes.
Ursula
Yeah.
in the story, she said, life-changing, life-changing, life-changing. She didn't and ah and debate. She knew it took a few minutes or seconds or whatever, right? It's like, I can't go back. I have to, if I can't go back, I got to stay here. If I got to stay here, I can't stay the same. It means I have to change. Well, 2 + 2 is 4. Life is easy. There you go. Open the door. Let's go through.
Yes.
Very simple. Yes. Very simple. It
Yes.
didn't matter that it was a big deal, a big effort. It was a duh. The one was impossible. Okay, if you can't do the impossible, then you have to do the possible. Well, the possible is kind of a big deal, a lot of effort. That doesn't matter. The decision is an instantaneous decision. Change your life in a moment. This is a skill we have to develop. It's the skill of sobriety. It's the skill of being able to see that obvious, right? Yes, we want to think things through, obviously, and she does, but this is not something that you can think it through over and over again 100 times. You're gonna come to the same conclusion, right? You know this already. You know you can't go back. You know you can't stay the same. Change, right? Very simple thing. Very, very simple thing, right? How
Yes, it
powerful
is
is that?
simple now. It is simple
Now,
now.
I realize that to develop this skill to make life-changing decisions in the moment, like Ursula did, right? This is a skill that needs to be developed. It's just practice. That's all it is. It's just practice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And of
I
course,
made
it's
those
confidence. You see,
decisions.
that's the difference. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Beena. Hold the point, please. The difference between
No, no, no problem.
Camillus and Ursula is confidence. Camillus, for all of his knowledge, doesn't really have personal confidence in his decisions. Ursula is practiced at making decisions, right? Because she's all about action all her life. She thinks, she decides, she acts. Making decisions not an issue for her. Yeah. Coming to understanding is not making a decision. Camillus is practiced at coming to understanding, but because it's not followed by action, there's no decision. Where's the decision in coming to understanding? You go till you understand, and that's it. There's no real decision involved, right? I mean, the only decision is to continue to proceed or not. Well, if you want to understand, then there's not really a decision. You just keep going till you understand. See the difference? He didn't have that self-confidence to make a life-changing decision, Ursula did, because she's practiced at it. Yes? Like,
Yes.
big deal, big deal. Say what you're going to say, please.
I was just saying that sometimes your decisions can be very easy.
Yeah,
And you say, okay, yes, I prompt and I respond to that and I grab this opportunity. I was feeling that though my decisions, whenever I follow uh, intuition, whenever I follow uh, my gut, my understanding, basically like, okay, yes, this is profound, this is valuable, this is what universe just gave it to me put it in front of me, I'm doing this. But what I was missing, and I was actually like understanding or assuming about myself, that my decisions are not well thought through to the end ones. And that's why I never feel super confident about my decision, though they always, almost always came out very amazingly spot on.
yeah,
But still,
yeah.
I was not feeling confident when people say that, oh, I choose something, I did this and I did, because I was missing those steps to thinking it through to the end. Because
Exactly.
it's not only this that it is necessary, it is, of course, it is impeccable to think about it deliberately, but also it is very, very crucial for your own trust, self-trust, capital T, trust, and
Yeah.
also for confidence. And this is something I was missing in my life, though it was a chosen one. It was not something I randomly picked. It was a choice, because later on I had to actually prove it to myself that, okay, yes, my decision, like, of course I can always revise it. Of course I can always make my decisions, and I say, okay, no, I thought it was working, and it will work in a way it is not. I'm just going back. So every single time for me, when I'm doing this, or when I'm joining it, for me it's a
Yeah.
renewal of my decision every single time. I am making decision, fresh decision every single time. When I'm interacting with
Yes.
my friends, I am making decisions or making renewal of that friendship every single time. Exactly
Yes.
like this when I'm there. So for me, it is a deliberate choice, very much so a deliberate choice. But in the beginning, I was not feeling confident about this, because, like
Mm,
Arshla,
mm, mm,
Arshla was
mm.
also quick. Like me, she was
Yes.
quick. But
Yes.
there is a difference between, of course, Arshla and me, that she
Yeah.
was able to thinking it through to the end.
Yes.
In
Yes.
my
And therefore she
case,
had
I would feel
confidence
that I
in
missed
her
this.
decisions. Sorry, we spoke over each
And
other,
that's
the
why
delay.
I didn't had that confidence like Arshla she has. I was not that much. Yes, yes, I was not that much confident about this.
Right. Right.
That's
That's the
all. This is
difference.
what I was
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Very powerful. Very
Yes.
powerful. This is a very powerful point you make about confidence and practice. We need to practice our decision making so that we can have confidence in it. Ursula, because she'd been making big decisions, had practiced thinking things through to the end.
Yes.
It's just natural for her. It's like and multiple perspective shifting. She didn't even have terms for it. She just came upon it naturally, right? Wild talent. Right? It's a duh.
Yes.
When you have to, it's just a duh. It's one of those duh things. How can you make a monumentous decision and be impeccable and not think things through to the end and shift to multiple perspectives? It's duh. You can't. You have to. It's a duh. Right? Very powerful. Beena, please read Joseph's comments there, please, from the one where he says another lesson. Please read them all.
Okay.
Wonderful point that Joseph's making here. Wonderful point. All right, I'll read this one. You read the next one. And Joseph says, another lesson of her story is acting with no expectations. This is a profound thing. This is, again, it's part of confidence, right? When we lack confidence, we tend to innately have expectations. Why? Because when we have expectations, we limit the options. We put them into a box, into a narrow path, right? If I see a narrow path rather than this wide open 360 field can go anywhere, if I don't have confidence, I want that narrow path. Oh, that's safe. That's safe. Okay, I know I can walk that. Very simple, right? Bureaucrats got rules to follow, narrow path. Yeah. When there are no rules, it can go anywhere, anything. You need confidence to
Yes.
proceed when there's no indication of which way to go, no rules, no box, no limitation. So expectation, narrow our options. And when we have no confidence, wonderful, thank you, I love this. But it's an artificial thing, yes? We're boxing the world.
Yes.
Right? And keep going. Can
Yes.
you read Joseph things? Right. Connect with your impeccability.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now
Yes. Connect with
that
your impeccability. Interesting.
right, right. It is interesting because when we're connecting to attunement, to the world, to the universe, to spirit, whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. When we do that, we are being impeccable. We are actually connecting to our impeccability. Why? Because it's the best use of energy. When it comes to me making decisions, me trusting myself only is a poor usage of energy. Because when you think it through, it's like the likelihood of my decision, no matter how accurate my logic is and my reasoning, yes, if it's based on limited
Mhm.
information, the odds are of it not being a good decision. It's as simple as that. It's like a
Yes.
computer, old
Yes.
computer logic, right? They used to say garbage in, garbage out. If your data is
Yes.
corrupted, you're going to get a corrupted computation from the computer. The computer is a perfect decision-making machine. Yeah, but feed it corrupt data, you get a corrupt thing, right? You want to do an analysis
Yes.
on your statistics from your soccer matches or whatever. If you feed in corrupted statistics, you're going to get corrupted results. It's as simple as that, right? Same thing with us. We have limited information. It's not, and
Exactly.
sometimes it's corrupted. So how can I trust my decision making? I cannot. It's the entire point of that gift of intent story. It's why I changed my entire life to living via attunement, because I had so profoundly come to that conclusion. It at the time, this was a really like life-changing, earth-shaking. I can almost still feel it in my body. You know, it had taken weeks and months to come to that decision, but it was like a tremor in my body. This understanding that the goal of self-wisdom is flawed. That's what self-wisdom is. You being wise, you can use the information at your disposal, come to decision, right? I learned to acquire self-wisdom, and I'd made an incredible effort up until that point to do so. Massive, all my life, every single moment of every single day. I came to realize that this is a flawed goal. It was a massive thing. Like I said, you know, my body internally felt like it was like kind of vibrating from it, yeah, until I made that shift. Then that stopped. Yeah. That was a very, very big deal. Very, very big deal. So yes, to connect to your impeccability is to connect to the universe. Exactly. Will you read the next one,
Yes.
please, that
Yes.
Joseph says there?
Yes. Joseph says, a certain kind of confidence comes from not caring how our actions turn out. If we act impeccably, it of course doesn't matter. Such a wonderful
Yes.
lesson, understanding.
Exactly. 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 Because when you're impeccable, there's no such thing as a wrong decision. There isn't. There's an impeccable decision or not. The decision is impeccable. What happens as a result of that decision, that's something else entirely. But the making of the decision is impeccable. Right now, is that a decision that works out the way you think it is according to your expectations? No. Very often we make a decision expecting one result and we get something else entirely. Right? But if we made that decision impeccably, what happens is inevitably I call them fortuitous mistakes. That so-called wrong decision, if we say, hey, wait a second, it was an impeccable decision, how can it be wrong? Oh, there's more, something I need to learn that I wasn't aware of. Yes, and very often we make that, we do the best of our ability, but we realize that our best was limited. Our best wasn't good enough. Yeah. So I said, oh, I've got to learn more. I've got to raise my best. Yeah. I was in an ignorant bubble. I was an nincompoop. I had no idea. Okay. Doesn't matter. I still made my decision impeccably. But man, I was so naive. All right. I've got to up my game, in other words, right? It's a massive, wonderful lesson. But when we really pay attention to those decisions also, it may seem like it was an impeccable thing to do. Yeah. I mean, it seemed like the decision is wrong. I mean, but when we pay attention, it's forcing us to do something else. And in that forcing of the something else, we say, whoa, 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 how wonderful, how magical is this? For instance, right, I'm driving down the road and I'm on a destination. Let's say I'm going cross country, Los Angeles to New York. I'm driving, I'm following the map, and the map says go this way. I'm listening to the GPS. It says go go there. All right, I'm following the map. I'm being impeccable. I'm not taking shortcuts. I'm doing exactly according to the route. Yeah. And the next thing, I come into a route and let just say for argument's sake, I take the turn that I'm supposed to take. Yes. And it turns out to be, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example how this would work now. Where, let's just say for argument's sake, I take the turn and I'm supposed to take, and this leads me to I don't know. I get involved in a whole big procession, and I've got to sit and wait, and it makes me wait forever. And you know, I was like, wow, this was like the wrong thing to take. I could have taken another way. You know, there was a choice, but now, unbeknownst to me, making this decision, which seems like a wrong decision, is actually the right decision, because if I'd gone the other option, let's say I had a choice, right? Like it could go either way. If I'd done the other one, the bridge was out and I might have had an accident or something. You see, that's often with fortuitous mistakes. They jump you from one track completely onto another track that you had no idea even existed, because the track you're on is not leading in a good direction, right? It's a massively powerful thing. Thanks, Beena. This is massively, massively powerful, to be aware that those fortuitous mistakes are typically there because they are putting you on a path that you had no way of knowing, even existed. Yeah. I'll give you an example. My drive in the story, it's not a very good example. I got out of the restaurant business right at that time of the gift of intent, that tale of power, when I started to shift my story. Yeah. Well, I had a very busy restaurant, for those who don't know the story. Very busy restaurant, and I would work the door, you know, say, people sit here, watch all the service, take care of this table, take care of that. You know, I'm just standing there basically directing traffic and saying, sorry, we're full, sorry, we're full, sorry. It was a long line, but people would come up from the door, you know, you have space for me. Dude, you just walked past 20 people waiting in line and you want to say, you know, anyway. So I'm directing traffic. Now, in all of this busyness, every now and then I'd walk by a table and somebody would grab my arm right here, same place, every time, bang. I mean, I can still feel that on my arm, like this hand of death almost, right? This hand of fate. That's really what it is. Clamps onto me, bang, and they grab hold of me and they hold me, right? Because I'm busy, and I always moved very fast, right? With great alacrity. I didn't ever walk slowly. I'm zooming up, really like moving with alacrity. I'm busy, but they grab me and they hold me, and they say to me, if I was your age, they all started with that same exact words. Now, this happened over a period of a couple of weeks, yeah? And they grabbed me. If I was your age, and then they continued to tell me what they would do if I was your age. I was a young man at the time, like 24, 25, right? 26, somewhere around there, right? And I was youthful looking, so I didn't, you know, still look like a teenager, I guess. Anyway, bang, they grabbed me. If I was your age. Now, at first, this was just like, wow, that was interesting. I didn't really have the experience with anomalies. Of course, it's massively anomalous in the thing. First of all, for people to grab you and stop you and hold you with your belly, it's almost rude. Yeah. But they saw my earnestness and they were telling me a story every single time. That story is a tale of power, actually, by the way. They would say to me, if I was your age, I would have done this, I would do this, I would do that. What I heard was them lamenting that they had not done what their hearts told them to do, that they had done the supposed right thing, you know, followed their career, their business. They didn't follow a path with heart, to use Don Juan's language. Since we're talking about tales of power here, he called it a path with heart. Yeah. And they would lament this to me. And I heard the lament in their voice. I heard them that, and these were wealthy, successful people. Many of them were international people, had people from all over the world, right? All of them were successful people in the normal sense, right? They're older people that they were regretting that they hadn't followed that, what they really wanted to do. And after listening to this, it made me get out of the restaurant business. Now, at that point, we had like queues every day at the door. It was a very successful restaurant, right? To say, get out of the restaurant. Are you crazy? You've got a wonderful business going here. But I saw where it was going. Yes. And I realized that this is a trap. Yes. And in that environment where I was, to have a restaurant, for even to survive one season, then you were a successful restaurant. To survive two, very successful. To survive three, you like really there. Survive four, then you're going to be there forever. And this was in the 4th year of that restaurant. Right? We'd already been there 3 years. We're in the 4th year. And I said, man, You know, if I don't get out, I'm going to be here forever, and I don't want to be here forever. I had other plans and goals. Now, that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, was getting out of that restaurant. It was impossibly difficult. Every logical, reasonable, sensible thing, every instinct from a survival point of view, you know, you got a successful business, things are going well. Everything said, get out, get out, get out, get out. Yeah. And I did. All right. So now I'm out of the restaurant business. It's the restaurant business, and the restaurateurs will tell you too, it's a soul-sucking business, right? It drives you crazy, and they're all a bit touched if you stay in it a long time. It's a very, very harsh business, and it's not good for your energy, really. And it takes everything you have. Anyway, so I got out. Now I said, all right, what am I going to do? You know, I mean, I got out in the middle. It wasn't ideal, it wasn't best. You know, I've still got things to pay, outstanding, all this. All right, there's, you know, even though it was successful, still stuff to do. So I researched everything. And part of the deal of getting out was that I got paid in cash, which I used to pay off. And then the other half was I got paid in a business, right? So that was how the deal worked out. This is the best deal available. Attunement, I want to get out. Okay, take the deal. So now I've got another business. All right, I'm moving into a business. Right, and we checked this out. Went to these fancy lawyers. Oh, I remember their office, right? Real high-end lawyers. What an incredibly beautiful office with the wood paneling and everything. It's like, man, out of another era, another world. Right, like, wow. I was very impressed by their offices, which is the idea of the office, of course. They checked out this company and everything checked out. We really were impeccable and scrupulous in doing our homework to check out this business. And so we get it, we started, we set up. Now, the business happened to be one where it was like a transport contracting business for trucking. And it was like a franchise. And we were going to get the contracts from the head office, and then we connect the contract. We find the trucker and say, okay, here's the contract. And very simple business, really, but it all depends on getting the contracts. We didn't get one single contract coming from that company. Nothing, zero, zip. Now, despite all our research, our efforts, our impeccability, that business just imploded. It went nowhere, right? Now, to cut a long story short, the end result of that impeccable decision that was, you could say, it didn't work out. It wasn't a mistake, it wasn't wrong, it just didn't work out. But it was fortuitous, because the universe said, dude, you're still on this regular path. You need to go and do something that you would never do in your right mind if you knew to do it, to think to do it. You had no idea to do it. You just didn't even know it exists. The end result of was my other tale of power of ending up in the desert. Yeah. From there, the consequence of events led us to end up in that desert. And from there, it started a whole new, real different track, right? We were still on the same track, going from one business to another, still within the same overall parameters. We shifted the paradigm, in other words, by going to the desert. Complete paradigm shift, right? Why? Because an impeccable decision didn't work out. Fortuitous, you can't say it's a mistake. Maybe somebody wants to say, it doesn't matter, right? Fortuitous error, right? Doesn't matter. I mean, at the time, we ended up with nothing. We got evicted and everything, and right, it was like a calamity. But we didn't care. We knew the universe was at work, because we'd already decided to make that change to attunement. So, all right, hey, we go with it. We go with it. I mean, there was stress involved at the time. We didn't know quite how to deal with it yet. We were learning. But man, what a magical lesson. What a magical lesson. And as a result of our earnest desire and aspiration and intent for moreness, I mean, I cannot tell you how earnest I was about this. Yes. Even when I was working in the restaurant, every moment I had free, I'd be working on my private things and the learning and moreness and awareness. Every single second. So this was now taking that to the nth level. Huh? And because of that intent, there's power for things to happen that satisfies the intent. That's the magic of tales of power. They are connected to your intent, as they are also to your impeccability. Yeah. And the impeccable part here is when those drivers said, you sure you don't want to go back? Sure you don't want to go back? That was the test of impeccability, the test of my intent. Am I really serious about learning and growing and moreness? Hell yes, I was serious. I knew that I had to be there, even though it wasn't a very exciting prospect. It was dismal, it was depressing, it was dreary, but only initially, right? Once we were there, it was thrilling, it was wonderful, it was fantastic, it was awesome. Yeah, very, very powerful thing. So yes, a certain kind of confidence comes from not caring how our actions turn out. That's exactly it. Yes. Once we have this trust in the universe, trust in attunement, we know it doesn't matter what we do, that you're always going to end up all right. So you jump in a path. It's like snakes and ladders. So you go down a bit, but then you go a little bit, you're going to go up again, right? Playing snakes and ladders with the universe. There's a profound difference to playing snakes and ladders, the actual game. Yeah. Because with the universe, that floor, the bottom level, right? Because it's levels, right? That you go up and you get to the top, you get to the end, and you got the game. But in the real life attunement snakes and ladders game, it seems like you're going down. But if you pay attention to snakes and ladders, sometimes you want to go down because it's a shortcut to the next up. Right, to the like you go down one level with a snake, but then you go 2 steps forward, and there's a long ladder that takes you up 3 levels. Right? That's how life is with attunement. Sometimes it seems like you're going down, but you're not actually. Now, that's the one thing. The other thing is that bottom level, when you're playing with snakes and ladders with the universe, that lowest level keeps rising, keeps rising, keeps rising. Yeah, you don't ever go down to where you started because you've learned. Your awareness has grown. Boom, raises the bottom level. See? So snakes and ladders attunement is a game of snakes and ladders with the universe, but it's a most magical, profound game. Yes. And you don't roll the dice. Your decisions determine whether it's snake or ladder. Yeah. It's not about rolling the dice. It's your impeccability that determines. And when you understand that I made an impeccable decision, but it turns out to be a snake, doesn't matter. That snake took me to a ladder, which was a massive ladder. I ended up being here because of it in this country. And I've had magical experiences here. Wonderful, right? It was a level, well, just in the short term, right? Going into the desert, we were there for a couple of weeks, couple of months. Then we ended up having a restaurant on a mountain, right? Starting one from nothing because we were asked to. And and there was the bushman there that we got to, because it was a different situation. We only had business on the weekends sometimes. So during the day, we had all our time free to ourselves. So we ended up spending time with this tribe of Bushmen, the last remaining tribe of South African Bushmen. Got to know them very well, got to be part of the tribe. I got tons of tales of power with the Bushmen too. But this is my point. Just immediately, though, it shifted the paradigm. And then from there, we ended up coming over here. So anyway, wonderful thing, wonderful thing. Yeah. Just making a point about living with attunement and being connected to the earth, to the world, to the universe. You're never alone. Like those actors on the stage. You're never alone, dude. The audience is irrelevant. You're never alone. So this confidence of not caring which way things working out, because you know the universe has got your back. And it's not enough to just think, oh, the universe has got my back. That's little t trust. It doesn't matter what I do, things will work out. The universe only has your back when you're impeccable. That's capital T trust. So that confidence comes from not just caring about how your actions work out. Why? You don't care because you know you've been impeccable. When you've been impeccable, it doesn't matter how things turn out. They're going to turn out good. Right? Snakes and ladders. Right? When I've been impeccable and I go down, I know I'm going to have an up later that I'm not seeing yet. Yeah, so it's never a down. It's just a diversion, right? It's alternative learning, I think of it of. Yeah. Different route. That's all. Rerouting. When we make decisions that don't go the way we think, we're being rerouted. That's all. Very simple. Right. So of course there's confidence. I know because I've been impeccable. It doesn't matter how things turn out. That's the key though, right, Joseph? A certain kind of confidence comes from not caring how our actions turn out when we've been impeccable. That's implied in your comment there. Yes, it's very important to add it. And it's very important to add that. Right, Beena? It does take power to see the world that way. Yes, Joseph, it does. Beena, you have comment on this about the
Yes.
confidence and impeccability. They have to go together. capital T trust is capital T trust because it is
Yeah.
founded on a bedrock of impeccability. That's the underlying. You can only get to capital T trust via impeccability. Without impeccability, it's just wishful thinking, hopefulness, indulgence. Nah, it's nah, that's no good, no good, right? Little T
Yes.
trust. Please
Yes.
comment,
Yes.
Beena. I'm
Exactly.
making us some coffee. Joseph, would you like coffee or tea?
Yes.
Where's Ramsey? Did Ramsey go? Ramsey, you still here? I haven't heard from Ramsey. I hope Nina Beenia comes, by the way. She's been wanting to come, but she hasn't come. Yeah, yeah. I'm getting there, Beena. I'm getting there. I got caught up in my story, so I didn't get there. Yeah, I'm getting there. I am there now. I am there now.
Yeah.
All right.
I was this is exactly what Joseph saying. This is what I was sharing that even just one part of this thing, it was my deliberate choice. There is no doubt about it, and it was a choice, and I was pursuing it. It was not just something like, okay, yes, I get just got convinced in by emotions and all that. No, it was not. It was a commitment I would. But because just one aspect of impeccability, at least, I missed that thinking it through to the end deliberately. In my own understanding, I was not feeling that confidence which now Arshla is exuding. This is something I was missing. Just one part of
Yeah.
impeccability, but it affects a lot. So we cannot just be said, okay, yes, I have done 7 out of 10, and I'm good. No matter how little we do on just one part, but we have to touch every aspect of it as much as we can, because later on we will become able to see the difference between
Mm.
what people actually, when they go through all the process, they could try to cover every aspect of it, and yourself. I feel that if at that time I would do that, I would be way much more confident in my own being, that yes, it's a well thought, thinking it through to the end decision.
Exactly.
Because it at the back of my mind, it is always like that. Oh yes, these people, all other participants, they are just making these decisions by like thinking, coming, going back, and all those things, and thinking it now. I have this problem, I have this thing to figure out first, and I need to. I just jumped in, and it was like
Yeah.
yes, and I never looked back. But because I never actually get into all the following all those steps, so my subconscious mind was always just whispering that, Beena, oh, you didn't follow the one step, one aspect of impeccability at the time of decision making to join this. It was thinking it through to the end.
Exactly.
Now I do it. Still, my decision
Yes.
is, even of course, it's more firm, but at that time it wasn't. Throughout my experience for years, I was like, okay, for 2 years at least, I was feeling that, okay, no, I cannot be that confident the way they are, because I just
But you
missed that
are
part.
sometimes.
Yes.
You are.
Yes.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Now,
Yes.
Joseph wants a tale of power from you, or
This
multiple tales of power.
okay. I do have, of course. For me, if you try to be, at least be aware, be deliberate,
Hmm.
every tale becomes a party.
Exactly.
Every
Exactly.
incident become a
Exactly.
power
But
incident for
I
us.
think Joseph is asking. Yes, you are correct, Beena. Absolutely, it is so. It is so. What you say. But when power got involved, and I think that for me, one that comes to mind, you may have many others, but I think when you were
Mhm.
reading Sophie's World and you got entranced by that idea, power became involved. Yes? Right? Capital P
Yes, okay.
power. Right? All right. So tell the story. Tell the story to
Yes.
Joseph. Right.
It's a long story, Joseph.
That's
I'll
fine.
try
It's
to
a
make
great
it as short
story.
as
No,
possible.
no, no. No. Tales of power cannot be shortened and abbreviated. Tales of power need every detail in them, right? You've got to give them full honor. It's a tale of power. There's no abbreviating it. It's a wonderful story. We got time. You tell the whole story, please, Beena. Right, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm making us some
So
tea.
one of my friend here in Pakistan, um,
of course, he's a very nice gentleman, and much elder than me, much older than me. And he used to buy books, and maybe in the past he used to read also. But when we became friends, he says, "Okay, Beena, I will give you this book to read." And then next day or whenever I finish that book, he used to call me and ask for my review. And
Yeah.
I
You
was
you
I
you did
was a
cliff you
power
did
learner. I
essentially did
am a
cliff
power
notes for him
learner.
on the book, right, Beena?
Sorry,
You were giving him
sorry,
cliff
sorry.
notes. Yeah, cliff
Yes,
notes are like summaries,
yes,
abbreviations of
yes,
books. Yeah. Okay.
yes. And he was a member of many book clubs and other critiques and all that. And he used to just ask me that, okay, what you read, what about this, and ask me questions on phone. And that was it. But okay, it was a good bargain, it was a good deal, because I was getting a chance to read books which I never I was not even aware of it. Sometimes the basic concept was beyond my understanding because I was too young at the time. And most of because he was in a different but my ability to, of course, grasp the importance of the words, even when I'm not able to understand that what actually involves there, I could see and I could pick the value that, okay, yes, it is valuable. What exactly I might not be able to, but I know that this is important. And I used to share with them. And he gave me a book named Sophie's World. And I try to read that. But this book is very different. This book is about some philosophy lessons and history involved into that. And a lot of things which I was not available at that,
It's
or
about a
sorry,
young girl.
aware
You
of.
gotta give it.
Yes,
That
now
gives a
I'm telling
false
you. Now
idea.
I'm telling you.
Sorry. All right, all right, all
I'm,
right.
I'm sharing.
Sorry,
Let
sorry,
me
sorry,
finish.
sorry,
Okay.
sorry, sorry, sorry.
No, it's okay. Uh, so that part was completely out of my understanding. But the start of the story, or the basic idea of the story, that young girl living in like really woods, out of city, it's in a remote place. She's living with her family, and one day she start getting lessons in the mailbox. And those were philosophy lessons with letters, and the letters from the philosopher. That and in those letters he says, okay, I choose you as my student, and I'm going to give you philosophy lessons. That idea was like
Wow.
amazing for me. It was like fairy tale for me.
Yeah,
That was the true fairy tale. Like,
yeah,
really, really
yeah.
grabbed me. That, okay, oh, on earth this can be possible, that someone just choose you to be his or her student and start giving you lessons, even when you're living in a remote place like this.
Mm,
It's so
mm.
exciting. And the lessons of philosophy, even on top of that. That, because who would imagine that young girl, like in her early teen, will start
Yeah,
having this type of lessons and she'll be able to understand? I
yeah,
had all the doubts, but
yeah.
because philosophy was not even I was not aware of the word completely, like, okay, what it means
Mm,
actually.
mm, mm,
No
mm,
idea.
mm, mm.
But
Eh,
the
eh, eh,
idea
eh,
was
eh,
super
yeah,
interesting.
it was so preposterous,
Yes,
that idea, right? Everything about it was
yes,
preposterous. The youth, the philosophy,
yes,
the woods, just like the most improbable, impossible type of a situation. Yeah.
yes.
Ah.
And yes. And I was thinking about this. What if, like, how this could even be possible? I was so curious about this. But my curiosity was with excitement, not with the
Hmm.
stress. I was curious with excitement, that I'm so curious how this would be if this thing is a reality. Like, how this girl would be feeling, and the all sort of ideas. Okay, that book I had to, of course, I used to get those books just for a few days, not more than 4 days ever.
Yeah, yeah.
So all my thing was like, okay, just keep reading quickly, and then
Wow,
of course
wow,
share it.
wow.
And I never
And,
get
and
a
and
chance
there
to
was a
this
there
book.
was a deep earnestness to your excitement. You were
Oh
earnestly
yes, of course.
excited about this idea, right? wasn't just a casual
Yes, it
surface
was very,
excitement. You
very,
really wanted to know.
no, no,
You
no,
really
no.
wanted to know.
Whenever I feel, okay, yes, I need to say that because whenever I feel excited about something, it's not like just a surface thing. I feel things very deeply, and especially when I feel excited about something, it's very rare in my life. But whenever it's not like a everyday thing, but whenever I
No.
feel it, it is something very special for me.
Yeah.
That was the thing, and I this idea never get out of my mind that someone living in a remote space like or area like this, and suddenly a big huge name, a philosopher or someone not popular, but a big huge name in terms of like real value, choose to be his student. That was wow. Okay.
Mind
And
blowing.
one day, one fine day, I can start my story like, oh, one fine day, I was scrolling through my timeline and I saw a post. A post was like nothing like my usual news feed because I used to have very limited friends and I still are following that. I'm still very cautious of who I'm friend with. And I saw that post that okay, yes, because I know how the algorithm works, so I'm very conscious of. That's why it was unusual for me to have this type of post. And
Mm.
that post was saying that we are looking for post beta testers for a program, and it's a way of impeccability, and some details on this. Without even thinking that what it is, my all my senses, everything was just saying, okay, just try it. And I clicked and I said, oh yes, I'm interested. And then of course we had a conversation about this. And there were some limitations on it. Still, I had no idea what that whole thing is. But I was just following the attunement. Now I can say that. At that time, I was not aware what I was doing. I was just following that, and completely like, without thinking, without rationalizing, like, okay, is it possible or not? What it is, nothing. I was just doing this, and I did, and the rest is story now. I never looked back. I got I had, look, I got a chance to have a philosopher in my life who choose me to be his student. And that was the beginning of the life.
Yeah. And what happened when you were accepted
That
into
was the
the
beginning of
program?
the
What
life.
happened when you were accepted into the program? What did you do? What did you literally do?
That was very personal. That was that was very personal, but okay. Um, I was I was jumping on my bed,
Yeah.
and my mother asked me that, okay, what happened? And I said, you don't know what happened in my life just right now. You don't know. No one, of course, can imagine that this thing can be so huge for someone like living in Pakistan in Karachi and get a chance to have something this modest. But it was like my my consciousness, my subconscious mind was aware that this is the thing, this is the thing for me, even though my consciousness was not aware of it. My subconscious was aware of it.
Mm. Mm.
And I was super, super excited. You can't imagine how hyper and excited and overwhelmed I was
Jumping
at
on your
that time.
bed, jumping on your bed, right?
Yes. It was like, okay, now we can use this as a metaphor that it was like I was living my childhood again. Like when you get something so exciting, so beautiful, what you were looking for, then you actually like we used to jump. Or
Look
I,
at
I
screen,
assume that
Beena.
every
Look at
every one
screen.
of us.
Look at screen, Beena.
Yes. Oh. Wow.
And you PM'd me directly. You didn't even respond in comments. You PM'd me directly.
No, I did. I did. No,
Right.
I
I'm
did.
saying I can see. Look, you're not in the comments here. Yeah.
No, this must be the other one
Oh,
because
oh,
I
oh,
I
this is
did.
the second one. Ah, right, right. I had two of them.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I did respond directly on the post.
Ah, then I must have posted it twice then.
Yes, and the picture was a bit yellowish golden kind of color. More.
Yeah, that's the picture. Yeah. All right, let's see. Is there another one? Oh, yes, here's the other one. Is this where Beena is? Let's see. 6 comments. But anyway, it's the same picture though, and that's the post. So it's what you responded to. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, it was so magical. It was so magical, you know. And the key is, it's not that you responded to this post. The post came after that intense focus on the Sophie story.